So whenever we wanna start creating a lifestyle change, which are the first steps that we have to follow to start implementing that?
Really, the first step comes with getting a clear view.
Welcome, Roanne, to the Keto and Diet Solution Summit. I'm really excited to have you here to dig in the best strategies to keep ourselves accountable whenever we want to make a healthy lifestyle change. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Elena.
So maybe first you want to tell us a little bit more about your background and what took you to be in the journey of helping others in reaching their life goals.
I've been in HR or human resources for a long time, and I've seen people struggle through different aspects of their life as they grow over time. And I noticed that there was just no resource for them to really go to that they could trust and to just help them and hear them with their struggles and their where they were coming from in life. And so a few years ago, I decided I wanted to be that person for people where, if they wanted to get to that next level in life, if they couldn't get to that goal, that I'd be there to listen to them and to understand where they wanted to go and help them to get there faster. Because it always helps when you have a third person perspective to help you along your journey.
That's totally true because sometimes we are hiding in that box where we see everything is negative and we are not able to get out. So having somebody to keep us accountable or not just to keep us accountable, to help us identify those goals and how to reach them is very important in any area in life, business,
Mhm.
health, any area. So that's a very nice journey. So whenever we wanna start creating a lifestyle change, maybe in health, which are the first steps that we have to follow to start implementing that?
Really, the first step comes with getting a clear view on what you see as being your healthy lifestyle. What does that picture really look like to you? And to see really clearly, who do you have to become in order to have that healthy lifestyle? So, for example, if I wanted to be a healthy eater, what would a healthy eater look like to me? If I were a healthy eater, what would I eat all the time without even thinking about it? And how would I be during the day? Would I, when I went to the store, would I, just shop on the outside of the store? Or would I immediately go in the inside of the store and hit all the frozen food items? So by learning who do I need to become and focusing on what my real goal is to get clarity on that, that's where the first step lies.
So how do you think how we can start identifying our goals? Because a lot of people they know they wanna be healthy, but that's a really general goal. So
Hmm.
how we can identify more specific goals so we can start working one by one to get
Yeah.
there?
It's to really envision yourself as you want to be healthy, but why do you want to be healthy? Who do you want to become because you are healthy, right? What does that person look like? Do they run all the time? Do they just play sports? Do they hike? How do they feel? And what does it really mean to them? Because when you know who do you have to become, how do you feel about being this new person that you're becoming, and what does it mean for you? What's the impact on your life? Then it really becomes more clear as to what what you have to do in order to be healthy.
So we always go back to the why. If we don't really have a real why we want to do something, it's impossible to reach those goals. So
Right.
how many goals do you consider are the like one goal, three goals? How many goals do you think is the the maximum that somebody should be start setting up, because otherwise we tend to put too many things on top of us and then we get overwhelmed and we don't know how to start. So
I think a good a good set of goals is 1 to 3. Any more than 3, and it's really hard to keep track. And those are your 3 main goals that you do in life. And once you can identify those 3 main goals, then it's really easy to see what really fits in your life or what's a priority for you and what really needs to wait until after you've completed your goal. And sometimes you might have like 10 different goals, right? But once you know what your 3 main ones are, sometimes the other 7 are sub goals with those main goals. And they might be side effects of getting to your main goal. So it's very important for you to decide which are the 3 main goals. And normally what I like to do is take clients and really see what, have you ever heard of the Wheel of Life? There's, 6 to 10 different aspects of a person's life. And I really ask the person, where do you want to focus on right now? Is it your spirituality? Is it relationships, family, health, career? And you can choose a myriad of them, right? But you choose the top 3 and you'd be surprised. So if you choose health, health affects you in all of your different aspects of life. And by focusing on your health, you can then see how does it affect your relationships and your spirituality and even your career. If you are healthier and you can do more things, you'd be surprised at the energy that you get, and that helps you to fuel all your other aspects in life.
yeah, I really like how did you put it. Like some of the goals that we set up are just side effects of other bigger goals that we establish. Like for example, you said health affects the rest of them. So yeah, that was a really good point. So let's say we set up our goals and then slowly we start making changes every day to get to that goal. But it took a life for us to create habits. So sometimes it's really difficult to change other habits. So we start falling off the wagon and then going back to previous routines. So why do you think our brain tends to sabotage ourselves? Why do we keep getting into our own way to reach those goals? Why is so difficult?
I think, well, people tend to forget who they want to become because that image of themselves is so new. And in the beginning, we don't always flash that image before us or remind us that, hey, I'm a healthy person right now. And a healthy person would not put that on their plate ever, right? The healthy person would not take a big pile of desserts first, right? The healthy person would want to exercise at least something, 15 minutes a day, whether it's just stretching or just simply walking to your post office, your mailbox and back. And we need to remind ourselves that we are that healthy person. And sometimes when you make that bad eating choice, you have to just tell yourself, okay, I made a mistake. It's all right. People make mistakes every day, but what can you learn from it, right? And maybe it's, I just have to take a smaller plate so less unhealthy things can fit on it. Or maybe I have to put my healthy things on my plate first. And then if there's extra room, I can put other choices on there. Or maybe it's as simple as I have to put the fork down every time I lift it to my mouth, right? I put food on it, then I have to put the fork down, and then I can put more food on it, and then I can pick it back up again. But it's those little things. And as you find out what works for you, you can decide for yourself, was it successful to my ultimate goal or my outcome of being a healthy person? Or maybe it wasn't. And that's okay because there's a learning to that in that now, okay, the fork technique doesn't work for me. Maybe it's the small plate technique. Or maybe it's just the total remembering every time you see an unhealthy choice come up, you always think like, what is that going to do to my body? What is it going to do in my gut? And just remembering how that made you feel. And that would be enough to make you say, I don't need to eat that today.
Yeah, because it's just few seconds, 30 seconds to 1 minute that we put something in our mouth and then send the signal to the brain and we release dopamine and we love it. It's why we have the memory that when we eat a piece of pizza or a piece of cake, we love it. But then what we have to think about is how our body is paying for it longer, how the bad feeling in our stomach, how we hate to get bloated, or how we hate to have pains in our joints. So it's very important, as you said, to think about the why, but also how did we feel after we did that. So which do you think are the best strategies to change the neuroplasticity of our brain, to train our brain to have that self-control and motivation?
I think at first, it always helps to have a coach, really, because you have that third person who's going to keep you accountable and they're not going to let you slide, right? It's not like having your best friend who's going to forgive you and give you a lot of grace, right? It's not going to be like that. But you have a third person that's there to hold you accountable and to just really encourage you. And you can tell them how food affects you honestly and not feel any kind of hesitation about sharing that because this is a third person, right? This is not your best friend. This is your coach, and you can share the world and not worry about it going anywhere. That's the most helpful because that coach is there to help you to remember why you're on the path. And sometimes we can beat ourselves up. We can be really, really mean to ourselves, especially around the holidays, right? Where it's very easy to fall off the bandwagon. And you just have to take that learning, and the coach will help you take that learning so that you can be better in the future, right? And maybe you're very narrowly focused and you only think that I can lose weight or I can be a healthy person if I just eat kale. The only thing I need to eat is kale. And, you know, your coach will know that's not the only path to get there, right? There are many paths to get to a healthy lifestyle. And they're there to help you think about other ways of getting there when your path doesn't work.
But a lot of people, what I find is that they get a coach, which is really important and more and at the beginning when we are trying to identify the goals and then keep going. But then there's people that are not really ready. They know they have to do it because maybe, the blood work came back with markers of inflammation or maybe an autoimmune disease. They know they have to do it, but the brain doesn't really want to. And then when they start making changes, they do it because they are working with that person. So whenever they are going to talk to their coach again, they want to tell them, oh, I did it. But when they stop working with that person, they are not able to continue by themselves because they just did it for that person, not really for themselves. So how, in parallel together with working with the coach or whenever they stop working with that person, how they can continue being accountable for themselves?
That's a great question. And really, that question is going to be within the individual, right? During that journey, the individual should also be coached on learning that they're great at making these wonderful choices for themselves, that they have the power to make great choices, to be that strong person. And I believe it's part of the coach's responsibility too, to help this person to really see that, to celebrate. And I think that's a lot of what we really miss in this culture that we have today is we only celebrate birthdays and when a national team wins. That's the only time we celebrate. But even if you made that great food choice for just that one day and it's your first day, celebrate. You don't have to celebrate with food either, right? You celebrate and just lift your arm up, lean forward, and pat yourself on the back. That's all you have to do. And I think if we learn to celebrate, that's that reinforcement that tells us that, hey, we're doing a great job and that somebody really appreciates us. And you realize that that somebody is you. It's also great if you can future vision, you can see in your mind how these changes affect the loved ones in your life, the
Mhm.
people that you interact with the most. How would that make them feel if you changed your lifestyle and you became a healthy person and you were there to see them graduate? Or you could run with them on the playground because your joints didn't hurt anymore. You know, what would that mean to them? And if you can begin to see how your changes affect others around you, I think that's a natural way to build up accountability.
Mhm. That's really important. But sometimes also in the journey, what I found is that people know which are their goals and the person they want to be. But in the process, they don't really look at themselves the way they really are. So they just keep having really bad self-talk for themselves, and that's
Ah,
something that stop them from reaching that goal of the person they want to be.
mm-hmm.
So do you have any suggestions for controlling that, any strategies for controlling keep sabotaging the person they really are, the image they really have?
One of the questions I always ask people is whenever you have a big goal, there's always going to be those stumbling blocks that come up. And I ask people, okay, so this is going to happen in the future. And as your self that you want to become this healthy person, what would this healthy person do to overcome that? You know, because I'm sure even Michael Phelps has words that come up like, oh, I'm second place, I'm not going to hit the wall on time, or, I'm getting too old. I'm sure that self-talk comes up in the back of his mind at you know, um, the least wanted time, like right before he gets into the water. But how does he get rid of that? And it's just you plan for it well in advance, right? Anytime people tells you I'm too old, you go, no, I'm not, because age is not relevant when it comes to health, right? By eating healthy every day, I get younger. And it's coming up with these phrases that you can tell yourself, these incantations that really help you when these little voices come up. And to have these strategies, especially, as a coach, when you lead people and you know that these things are going to come up, like you're going to go to a party and they're only going to have pizza and hot wings and beer. So, what do you do in that case? What are you going to do? And people might make fun of your choice that you put on your plate, right? Like, how come you didn't take any pizza? Um, so, what are you going to tell them? If you know in advance what you're going to tell them, like, I don't need pizza, you know, it's too greasy. I don't like it. And you're just flat out honest with people that way, they just go away. And if they don't want to listen to you, bring your own food. Nobody says you can't bring your own food. You can share with people too. Um, and you just have to prepare. Uh, there's also different techniques that you can learn about how to mitigate that little voice that comes up and says, you're never going to lose that weight. You're never going to stick to the diet because you've never done it before. And how do you silence that little voice? It's because you knew in advance that little voice was going to come up. And you just say, like, I never did it before, but I'm doing it now, right? It could be as simple as that. It all depends on the person and how they really feel and what words resonate with them.
I really like the mirror exercise for people that they don't really have enough self-esteem, and that's very important in order to keep going in a healthy lifestyle. To talk to ourselves how much we love ourselves. That's a really good exercise. And then affirmations, as you said, the power of affirmations on our goal and and what we want to do and who we want to be, that's
Mhm.
also very important.
Yep.
That's good. So then you already were giving us a few tips to stick to a healthy eating habit. So could you give us maybe a few more, like which is the best mindset for healthy eating?
The best mindset for healthy eating is I always remember who is that healthy person I am, right? I might not be the healthy person, like let's say I just started on my diet today, right? So I'm not that healthy person yet, but I know I want to be this healthy person and I give that healthy person a name. So, for example, I might call my healthy person Dawn. And I say, Dawn, what does Dawn eat? And then when I go out, I know that Dawn does not eat pizza. So I don't choose the pizza place, right? I want to choose something that's not pizza. And when Dawn goes to a party, Dawn thinks, what are they going to have there? And what could I eat? You know, I know Auntie's going to be there and she's always going to make sure I eat lots of her pie, right? But maybe if I put her pie on my plate, but not eat it, I can just carry it around. She won't ask me to eat her pie. I just I just have a small piece of pie on my plate and I can just talk to people but not eat it. And if I need to eat it, I can eat it one little bite at a time. So maybe I have a strategy, right? Where I will eat a little piece of the pie for every 5 minutes that I talk. So if I talk to somebody, I can have a little piece every 5 minutes, right? And see how that works. So one, I always remember who it is that I have to become. And then two, I remember that I have to give myself grace at times. So if I go to that party, I'll say, all right, it's not like I go to this party every day. And if I go to a party every day, I need to come up with a different strategy.
Yeah.
Right? I have to find different people to party with that will have different food choices for me. But maybe it's going to be, just that football party that you want to go to or that soccer party, and they're going to only have unhealthy choices. There's nothing to say that I couldn't bring a tray of fruits or vegetables that I want to eat and just offer that for anybody else that wants to eat them too, and I can just munch on that the whole day. I could also eat something before I go to the party, right? And then that way I'm full on my own healthy food and I'm only snacking a little bit if I want to at the party, right? But I decrease that just by not having that temptation there, right? Right. So the third one is when you know your temptations, you have to find ways or strategies to mitigate them, right? So you know that the holiday party is coming up, and what are some of your strategies that you're going to use to help you to stick to your outcome of being that healthy eater? So you might want to think of 3 different ones that will really help you to avoid all the unhealthy choices. And one, maybe I'm going to bring my own healthy main dish and we'll see how everybody enjoys them, right? I didn't realize how well a side dish of Brussels sprouts went at a party. I would have never thought about it, but I thought, well, I'll introduce it and we'll see who eats it. And I was surprised that it was gone by the end of the night. So you never know, you know, until you try. But don't be afraid to try because that's where all your learning comes from. I always remember how many times Amazon failed and look where it is now, right? They had Amazon toys. Oh, that was a total flop. They tried the Amazon drone delivery. I think they're still trying that, but that was a no-go. Uh, but they keep trying, and that's the main part.
Yeah, and you have very good points. Take always the healthy food when you go to a party. Try to eat before so you are not that hungry. And what you mentioned before about people asking you, why don't you eat that? Like, I always tell everybody, I'm coming here because of the people, not because of the food.
Mm-hmm.
like it's just to socialize, because it's part of the healing process as well. So that's good. And also important, always try to pack the healthy snacks wherever you go. Because otherwise we are gonna get hungry in the middle of nowhere, and at the end we are gonna buy what we are not supposed to. So those were really, really good tips. So if you will have to give us a summary of the three more important tips for a happier, healthier, more motivated and successful lifestyle, which ones would be?
Know what your outcome is. What what is it that you want, right? What is that vision of who a healthy person is? Know your outcome. That's the number one main tip. Because without knowing your clear outcome, it's almost impossible to do. Um, the second one is to really see yourself as that person. Even if you're not that person today, like let's say I wanted to be, um, 20 pounds lighter, and I just started today. I might not be 20 pounds lighter, but I have to see myself as that 20-pound lighter person all the time. Even if I stuck a picture on my mirror that had the body that I wanted, and I cut out my face with another picture, and I pasted it on top of that picture so that I could see myself clearly as that person all the time. Because your mind doesn't know any different. And if you clearly envision what your outcome is, then your mind will help you get there unconsciously. You'll just get there. But you have to keep that vision clearly in your mind. And three, you know, just celebrate. Set up little milestones. Like maybe it's every 3 days when you first start. Maybe it's every day. Maybe it's as you graduate every week, and you just celebrate. I ate clean for today. And you go, yay, and you celebrate. And you don't celebrate with food, but you celebrate. Maybe it's just that high-five hug with the person you love. Maybe it's you celebrate by reading 10 pages of your really great book that you love to read. I don't know, but celebrate it.
That's a really, really important message. Thank you, Roanne. So then I'm gonna ask you the magic question. After you tell
Oh,
us
okay.
what to do, we know how to set up our goals, how to keep ourselves accountable to reach those goals. But how long does it take to make a lifestyle change? Because a lot of people say, how long does it take? Because I just keep falling off the wagon. How long
How long it
to become
really,
a lifestyle? Yeah.
oh, to become a lifestyle? I think to change your mindset can happen in an instant, really, because you decide, I'm no longer that unhealthy person. I'm that healthy person. I'm that person who always eats right, or maybe always is not a good word, who eats right 90% of the time, because that's how I want to be with my body, right? You just decide. And once you decide, you make it happen. That
That's
that's really it.
So it,
Now,
it doesn't require months. It's really how we change our mind.
now it may take your body physically months to detox,
Yeah.
um, months to actually lose the weight, properly, where it just naturally releases it. And it also depends on how big a goal you have, right? So if you're going from, I want to lose 200 pounds, it's not going to happen overnight. But the decision to say to yourself, I'm no longer this overweight person, I am this person that's at my healthy weight, that happens in an instant. Once you change your mind and you lock that in, you're that person, right? And you start making those healthy choices. And you set up those little goals that say, okay, so every week, my goal is to eat clean on this way that a healthy person eats 90% of the time. And you can get a calendar. I'm kind of old school. So I get my physical calendar, and you get a red pen, and you just X off all the days that you ate healthy, like how you wanted to, you envisioned, and you look at the calendar and go, wow, okay, I hit my goal. Celebrate.
Yeah. I really like the calendar tool. Yeah, never thought about it like that. When did you make a healthy step to reach your goal? That's very powerful. You have any other tools that you recommend for people, maybe journaling, any other tool to keep them accountable and celebrate as well?
I'm very visual, and so I like to have visual tools like a calendar. Sometimes for me, it's journaling, especially when I just need to get all my thoughts out on paper and I just need to dump it. Um, I also use some of Tony Robbins' tools that he teaches, which is to form the triad for myself, so that I always remember who that healthy person is and what they look like, what they focus on, and what they believe. Um, and sometimes when you're like a very auditory person, maybe it's not, the visual thing. Maybe you always have to hear a song, right? So you play that song in the morning and okay, that song sets off this awesome healthy eating person, you know, and then you just go because you associate what you hear with what you want to become. If you're a kinesthetic, you might have a different way. You like to feel things, touch things. Maybe it's you have a favorite shirt that you like to put on, or maybe it's a necklace, or a armband, or a watch, or something where you can feel it on you, and the healthy person always wears their watch or their bracelet or necklace, whatever the case may be. But it's really looking at the individual and seeing what works for them. But yeah, so I'm very visual, love the visual tools, use my mirror all the time. And I have goals that I post on there and I take them off when I reach them and I stick new ones up.
I'm visual too. Like I have stickers everywhere with different colors just to remind me things and also to celebrate that you said are very important. But the journaling is one of my favorite tools, mostly at night to sleep better and download all those things that happen through the day that maybe are preventing from sleeping better or overthinking. So I love the power of journaling. That's
Yeah,
really
that's awesome. When my mind gets too busy, I just dump everything to the journal.
it's awesome. Thank you. Well, we went through a lot of things in here, but maybe there is a last message that you want to share with the audience for somebody that right now feels really stuck trying to make that change.
If you're really stuck and you're having a hard time making the change, really sit down with yourself or sit down with a coach and just brainstorm out, who do you want? What is it? What is your outcome for yourself? What do you want your body to look like, to be like, to feel like? And just get a vision of who that person is to you. And once you get that vision, just step into that person and become that person. And once you step in and you become, it's so much easier. And I really do think that everybody has what it takes inside of them. And sometimes they just need that little push. Find an accountability buddy. And it can't be your friend that will accept you any way that you show up. It has to be a true accountability person. Somebody that's going to say, hey, you want to become this person, right? You want to become that person? You're not that person, right? Would that person eat the pizza? And just have that person to hold you accountable, because if it's hard, it's really hard with all that marketing out there, and especially with all the sports that are going to be coming up soon, it can be very difficult. But find that person and find the vision for yourself.
Thank you, Ron. That is a really beautiful message. So now the message today is go and find your accountability coach in order to reach those goals. Thank you very much for everything you do to keep all of us accountable and help us reach our life goals. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank you.
being here.